Hey guys, so today we're going to do the unboxing and overview and retrospective of the OQO Model 2. This is a very special, unique computer released in 2007 by San Francisco company OQO. They only made computers for a few years before they went out of business. And what makes this computer special is because it was part of the first wave of UMPCs, or ultra mobile computers. It was an initiative by Microsoft back in the mid 2000s to make these ultra portable computers. And this is the day and age before smartphones, right? So there was this small niche or necessity for computers that were even more smaller and lighter than most laptops on the market. So even smaller than netbooks, actually. So yeah, this is an interesting time in computing history, and it only lasted a short while before iPhones and Android phones, smartphones came out and dominated, and netbooks came out, and then tablets came out. So UMPCs were only there for like a short while, I would say in the mid 2000s, and then they kind of died a quick death. Partly because just people didn't want to pay such high prices for these things, and they were not powerful at all. But as a collector, and I love collecting electronics, it's cool to go back and look at some of these devices because they were truly unique. Nowadays, you have stuff like the Steam Deck. You have companies like GPD and OneMix making these pocketable handheld computers, which is really cool. But back in the first generation of UMPCs, when you had companies like OQO, Sony had the Vaio UX, there was the HTC Shift, Samsung Q1, Vulkan Flipstart, Asus R2H. I had all these before at one time or another. All of them had really cool designs, this very experimental. So yeah, we're going to take a look at the Model 2, which I've always kind of wanted to cover in a full video on my channel. I've done it in the past, like comparing it to the Sony Vaio UX for a bit, but I didn't really do a dedicated video on it yet. So yeah, here it is. I've never done an unboxing of it in my channel either. Okay, so OQO Model 2, this was OQO's final production model. They actually had a 2 Plus coming out supposedly in 2009, but they never got around to producing it because they went under before that. So it's unfortunate because that model looked really cool. Even had an OLED display and everything. But unfortunately, you can't make much money from these things. It's not many people were buying them. Really, they were meant to appeal to like wealthy business users who had some money on their hands because these things were not cheap. They cost about $1,500 US at the starting price point. Then when you add in upgrades, it can go over $2,000, right? So this particular model, the configuration I have here, has a 1.5 gigahertz VIA C7M processor in it, which is quite slow. A VIA processor back then, and VIA was a company making CPUs back then. I would say they're about as powerful as the 800 megahertz Celeron M. Even slower than an Intel Atom. So that gives you an idea of how slow it is. It was slower than even your typical netbooks back then. Quite slow, and came with 512 megabytes or 1 gig of RAM. This particular version has 512 megs of RAM, so could really only run Windows XP on it, but you would probably only want to run XP on it anyways, because the CPU is that slow. Yeah, you could get Vista with it, but I would recommend not to, because it wouldn't run very well. This one has 30 gigs of hard disk space. You can get it with up to 120 gigs HDD or 32 gigabyte SSD, but mine has the lowest configuration here. And it has Bluetooth 2.0, 802.11 ABG, which is the Wi-Fi standards back then, and even 3G support, EVDO or HSDPA. So you guys can tell it's really meant for business users. So yeah, let's do this unboxing. Take a look at this thing. Okay, and there's nothing else. It's just the black box. Okay. Yeah. Actually, it's interesting here, I would say. It's actually manufactured in Singapore. So designed in California, because they're a San Francisco company, and then manufactured in Singapore. Yeah. Anyways, this thing came out in 2007, and it was already, like, power-wise, I think it was slower than pretty much all the laptops on the market at that time, but it was more for the form factor, right? You guys have to see the form factor because it truly is unique, even by today's standards. You haven't really seen much like that. Okay, so what you get, let's see, take this out. Okay, so here you go, OQO Model 2 Start Guide. So this is what originally came with. OQO Model 2, a screen protector, power supply, VGA Ethernet adapter, stick cap, Microsoft Start Guide, and an XP CD. Okay. So the Model 2 is the smallest Windows Vista capable computer. I mean, you gotta take this with a grain of salt. A lot of computers back then, I remember, right, because I was there back then when they were selling computers that said Windows Vista capable. Actually, they were not. Even with 1 gig of RAM, it really wasn't Windows Vista capable. You gotta have like 2 gigs of RAM at least for Vista. So it said it was Windows Vista capable, but actually I would say it's pretty much only usable on XP. So Model 2 is your standalone handheld computer with its own integrated track keyboard, touch stick, and capacitive touch scrollers. So yeah, just talking about how unique this computer is, and it is unique. It says this is what it looks like. You really do not see many computers that look like this. The only other one's the Vio UX back then, which is what I compared it to. But it's still kind of unique in its own way, right? So yeah, standby, hibernate, conserving battery power. So you got to use a dongle if you want to get VGA and stuff, and has a proprietary charger because this is the mid 2000s, right? Moving and attaching the battery. So it's got a removable battery, which is actually common for computers back in the day. Yep. And yeah, that's how you remove the battery using the thumb, keyboard, and track stick. So that it has a special track point type of device for controlling the mouse. So it kind of looks like this, and you got some shortcuts for the keyboard, which is nice. Touch scrollers. The Model 2 does not have a touch screen. So unlike the Sony Vaio UX, it does not have a touch screen. However, the sides do have some touch capability. It's a 5-inch wide VGA LCD and a digital pen. So you have an optional pen that you can get with it. I don't know if it comes with one. I think you might have to buy it separately. So digital pen included with tablet PC edition. Interesting. We'll see. I don't remember it including a pen though. And then touch scroller. So yeah, even though it's not a touchscreen, technically it does have a digitizer on it. So you got to remember that tablet PCs before capacitive touchscreens came out, they were using like these digitizers. And I remember because I had one of these tablet computers back in the day, actually a convertible computer, a gateway that kind of converted, and then you light it down flat, had a swivel screen, and then you use a special pen with it, like an Intrig, I think. It was kind of like a Wacom pen, but it was a special type of pen that used that interfaced with a digitizer on the screen. So technically it was a touch screen, but only if you use like a special pen with it. And then connect to your network, of course, and then this one supports the 3G as well if you get that. Optional WAN. Yeah, so this being for business users as well. And optional docking station, which I do have as well. So there is this optional $300 docking station. I'll show that to you guys because it does come with a DVD burner in it, which is pretty cool. Software, okay. Security features, active drop detects. Oh, well, that's a cool feature. It automatically locks up the hard drive when it's dropped to prevent any data loss. Yeah, so it's got some shock protecting feature, I guess, on the hard drive. Shock mounted HDD, yeah. That's what you had back then. That's pretty innovative on devices, on like business devices with HDDs. Nowadays, like you don't need that because you have SSDs now, but back when you had rotating hard drives, you got to protect it when you drop it. Otherwise, you'll have data loss. Oh, Windows XP Home Edition. They put Home Edition on this? Why didn't they put Pro Edition? I was hoping they would have Professional on here. Okay. Well, that's a disappointment. I thought they would have Windows XP Professional, but they give us Home. This is meant for business users, though, isn't it? Okay, well, anyways, actually, all this should go into this documentation sleeve right here. Yeah, okay, there. So that's the paperwork. What do you get here for dongles? I think this is all dongles. Remember dongle life, guys? Nowadays, laptops pretty much all need dongles if you want to connect to additional stuff. But back then, having dongles was actually not very common, because most computers had all the ports you needed. This being an exception, because it's a super small, compact computer, you had to have dongles. Okay, so you got the power cord right here, a proprietary connector. So this is the OQO charger right here, which uses this proprietary connection. But again, this is not uncommon for computers back then to have this. I mean, even today, right? Technically, you got barrel chargers for laptops and stuff. But nowadays, you got USB-C, right? But back then, everything pretty much had proprietary connectors. All your cell phones had proprietary connectors back then. iPods had the 30-pin, you know, so that was pretty common. Then you got an adapter. You actually have an HDMI to VGA adapter here. Now, something you'll notice about the Model 2 is that it was actually pretty forward thinking of the time, because it actually had a full-size HDMI port back in 2007. That was back when HDMI was not very common. So this might have been one of the first devices, one of the first computers to actually ship with HDMI. So that's why they included HDMI to VGA, because VGA was actually still more popular back then, believe it or not. So yeah, back in the day, VGA was more popular. Not many people had HDMI. That's why they included VGA to HDMI adapter. Then they give you this expanded connector here. So this goes into the proprietary jack, and then yeah, you got VGA and you got Ethernet and you got a pass-through. So really, VGA was pretty necessary back then, because that's where what most monitors used back then for video out. You know, that's before, you know, everything used HDMI. Then Ethernet was pretty necessary back then, because not everything had Wi-Fi back then. You got to remember, this is the days before everything had Wi-Fi and HDMI. And this is a pass-through. You can pass through the charger. Okay, so there's that. Okay, and then the computer itself, which I'll show you guys, is pretty unique looking by then and even by now standards. So yeah, this is the OQO Model 2. This is what it looks like. It does not come with a digitizer pen, right? No. Okay, this is what it looks like. So this computer, very, very interesting, unique, because at the time it is the smallest computer that can run Windows Vista technically, right? But even if you don't count Vista, I think it still might be the smallest computer to run Windows XP too. That could be the case, but yeah. Here, and the battery does not work anymore because it's an old device, right? So it's not going to work anymore. However, it is removable, which is nice. So yeah, that's what the OQO Model 2 looks like. It weighs roughly about 1 pound, so fairly light. And you slide open the display like this, and then you get the full keyboard. That was actually a fairly nice keyboard for the time. So this is a 5-inch 800 by 480 LCD display. No IPS back then, so just your typical TFT display. But yeah, not too bad. The resolution, 800 by 480, I mean, that's still like DVD res, not high resolution, but hey, it's 2007, what can you do? This thing is like, it's touch sensitive, so you can use this part. I think this part is touch sensitive, but the actual screen is not. And then on the top is just this grill thing. At the bottom is where we find a headphone jack, full-size HDMI port. Like I said, very forward-thinking of OQO at the time, because at the time not many computers had HDMI, but now it's pretty forward-thinking, right? Because nowadays everything has HDMI. And you got the proprietary charger and docking connector there, and you got a full-size USB 2 port there. And then on the left side, I think this is some kind of infrared sensor or something like that. I don't know. It's not a fingerprint sensor for sure. It doesn't have that. But you do have the power button right there. And then on this side, you got nothing that you can really press. Yeah, this battery is removable though. So yeah, I think there's something you can press to remove it. Anyways, then you just press up on the display, you get the full size, well, not really full size, but you got a nice keyboard here. That's, I would say, about as good as what you can get with a device of this size back then. So you got your standard QWERTY keyboard keys, and then you got to zoom in and zoom out right there. Then you got left and right click mouse right there. You got a full-size numpad. Not full size, but you just get a numpad, I should say, not full size. But you get a numpad. You know, that's more than you would expect for something like this, right? Just to have a numpad at all. And then you got yeah, this optical track point nub that you might be used to if you have used ThinkPads before. Then this is something similar to that red nub on ThinkPads. But otherwise, this keyboard is surprisingly good, I would say, for something like this. So I remember actually I prefer it over the Sony Vaio UX keyboard because this keyboard is, the keys are actually raised up so they're easier to depress. So yeah, not bad. I remember the thing I liked the most about this thing was actually the keyboard, because the keyboard is actually fairly decent for a device of this size. And you get a numpad with it as well. And the left and right click is in reasonable locations and everything. So yeah, compared to the Sony Vaio UX at the time, I think this was good. So anyways, let me boot it up. Now this thing won't hold a charge anymore, but it will still turn on, at least if I connect it to a charger. And then actually, before I do that, let's compare it a bit. As mentioned, the main competitor to the OQO Model 2 would have been the Sony Vaio UX, which was actually out a year earlier at the time, 2006. But this would have been the main competitor because in terms of the size and form factor, yeah, and price actually, both of them cost like, you know, $2,000 or around there, $1,500 to $2,000. So they were definitely pretty expensive devices for the time, because we're talking about $2007 here. So it would have been pretty expensive to get one of these. But yeah, both of these two are similar form factor, I would say. They both have keyboards that raise up. So that one does like that. That one goes like that. So you guys can see that, right? Yeah, Vaio UX and the OQO Model 2. There we go. Yeah, okay. So out of these two, the Vaio UX is the more powerful one, because this runs up to a Core Duo processor, but I got mine with a Core Solar processor. If you get the top end model, you get a Core Duo, but yeah, mine has a Core Solar processor in it. Actually, mine is a special James Bond edition. Yeah, this thing has more features and is more powerful. You can get up to 1 gig of RAM, same as the OQO Model 2. But it's really the much better Core Solar processor or Core Duo processor that pushes it above the OQO Model 2, because the OQO Model 2 can only max out at a 1.6 gigahertz via C7M, which is really, really slow. So yeah, overall, the Vaio UX is more powerful. It also has more features. It has a fingerprint sensor up here. It has a webcam, something the OQO does not have. It even has a back camera, something that the OQO does not have either. Comes with a stylus. Yeah, and while the OQO does have a optional digitizer pen, it's still optional. It does not come with any kind of stylus. Has a touch screen. So the OQO only has these like touch controls on the sides, but the Vaio UX had like a full touch screen here. In terms of usability wise, it's very grippable. Like these things you can just easily grip in your hands, just use it like this. Whereas the Model 2, you kind of have to like put your thumb down lower. It's not quite as comfortable as the Vaio UX, I'd say. Then you got we got zoom in buttons here as well. This also supports 3G capability as well, so you also can have mobile broadband on this. I lost the antenna for this, unfortunately. And it also has a removable battery right here. Overall, this thing just has more features and is faster. It does not have the HDMI jack though. Does have USB 2 as well. So yeah, overall, Vaio UX is the more fully featured computer and the faster computer. Keyboard-wise is the major letdown of this one, because it's very flat, as you guys can see. Keyboard is very flat and therefore harder to press on the keys. You really got to press it in like this, and that's where the OQO Model 2 wins, is the keyboard, because it's raised up, so it's easier to press. But that's about the only area where the OQO Model 2 beats the Vaio UX, is the keyboard, or in the HDMI port. And pretty much everything else, I would say the Vaio UX is better, but still, it's nice to have the OQO Model 2. You know, it's just another interesting type of computer, and it's considerably more rare than the Vaio UX. It's not too hard to find a Vaio UX. This is the UX 280. There's other models, but if you just want to find like any model of the UX, it's not that hard to find. If you want to find a specific model like the 490, then that's kind of hard to find. But yeah, just any model of the UX isn't hard to find. The Model 2, on the other hand, is considerably more rare. Or if you want to compare it to a modern version of these guys, the GPD Win 4 here. This is from Chinese company GPD, which actually took a lot of inspiration from the Vaio UX form factor. So also has this, here we go. Also has this slide out display right here, right? With the keys that, now granted, these are better than the GPD-Win 3 keys, which are touch capacitive keys. Those are haptic feedback keys, which are definitely not as good. This one at least has physical keys you can depress, but still, they're more like the Vaio UX keys, I would say. Yeah. So in terms of the keyboard, I would say the Win 4 definitely takes a lot of inspiration from the Vaio UX, including the flat keys here, which, yeah, don't provide very good feedback. And I know they kind of did this just because, you know, they need to have this sliding display cover or something, but still, the keyboard's not great on the Win 4. But it's cool that they made like kind of like a modern tribute to the Win 4 and made it a powerful gaming handheld. You know, that's pretty cool. And it's considerably like larger, I would say. Yeah, you can see the Vaio UX versus the Win 4 here. It's larger, but definitely takes inspiration from the Vaio UX, and it's considerably more powerful as well. This thing can actually run some modern AAA titles if you dial down the graphics a bit. So pretty cool that they made a modern tribute to that. But yeah, Vaio UX, I just wanted to showcase it a bit. I already have a previous video kind of comparing these two when they're both booted up, but just wanted to show it again in this video that yeah, the main competitor to the Model 2 would have been the UX, and you know, back then, the only reason you would have gone for the Model 2 over the UX would have been if you really cared for that HDMI port and if you really, you know, really like this keyboard. You know, this keyboard is better, but that's pretty much it. In terms of speed and power and functionality feature set, the Vaio UX has a beat. Yeah. We can compare the docking stations as well, though. So this is the Vaio UX docking station. So you just put it here in here. It also has a proprietary kind of connector, pretty similar to the one on the OQO actually. And then just put it down here like this. Just slots in like that. And then on the back, that's what you have access to. You have one USB 2.0 port here, and you got two more USB 2.0 ports on the back, full-size Ethernet, VGA, and I think this is FireWire, I think. Could be wrong, but I think that's FireWire. And yeah, your charger here. So that's what you get with the Vaio UX docking station here. So it's a decent docking station. Okay, but OQO actually has the better docking station out of the two because you have a $300 add-on docking station. This beast right here, which is also made in Singapore, interesting enough. But here's how it works. Basically this thing, yeah, it comes with a full-featured CD DVD drive right here. So yeah, you just lift that up like that. There, it kind of converts like that. So on the front is actually a CD DVD drive. I think it's actually a burner, so you can actually write to it. Let me try to focus better on this thing. Come on. Yeah, go. Yeah, so you can actually burn DVDs and CDs on this thing. In addition to that, it has a USB 2.0 port here on the front. And then on the back here, what you get is full-size VGA, just like on the Sony docking station, but you also get a pass-through full-size HDMI. That's because when you're docking with this thing, it uses up the HDMI, so you have a pass-through HDMI in addition to VGA. And then you also have, I think this is an audio out port. Could be wrong, but I think that's an audio out port. It looks like one. And then you have full-size Ethernet, and you got two more USB 2 ports, and you got the pass-through charger. So yeah, overall this is a more fully featured docking station because you can actually burn DVDs and read DVDs on this thing, right? That's something pretty cool you couldn't do with the Sony Vaio UX. So yeah, just put it in like that, and this is what it looks like. And then you would have it open like this. So there you go. Yeah, and you can kind of angle it like this if you wanted to, all the way down here, 180 degrees. Can, yeah, angle it forward like that. So anyways, this is a pretty cool docking station. And then this is the Vaio UX one. Yeah. So yeah, if you compare docking stations, OQO Model 2 has the more fully featured docking station because you can read and write CDs and DVDs from it, in addition to having both HDMI and VGA output on that. I think USB port wise, I think they both got 3, so That's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm going to boot up the OQO Model 2 in a bit and show you a bit more about this computer. Yeah, the VAIO UX, I mean, I already kind of did a bit of a comparison video in the past, so if you guys are curious about that, you can look at my old videos, but this video is going to focus more just on the OQO Model 2. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Okay, so I have the OQO Model 2 booted up now, and yeah, you guys might hear how noisy this computer is, because it has a rotating hard drive and the CPU isn't very powerful. It's pretty much always working hard. And yeah, I don't have the SSD version. That version is pretty expensive and hard to get. But yeah, I can hear the hard drive noise basically all the time. And unfortunately, I found out that this model isn't even the 1.5 gigahertz model. So I'll show you guys the system here. Okay. Come on, show me the specs. Okay. So yeah, what it shows me here is that it's actually the 1.2 gigahertz VSC7M. So that's even slower than I expected, and 512 megabytes of RAM. So basically, this computer can barely run Windows XP. 1.2 gigahertz VSC7M is like a 600 megahertz Celeron M, which is, yeah, that's barely gonna run XP, man. And 512 megabytes of RAM, yeah, not ideal. I would like to have a 32 gig SSD with a 1.5 or 1.6 gigahertz and 1 gig of RAM, but anyways, it is what it is. This is the model I have. So, well, what can you do with this thing? Well, let's just switch. I'm just gonna run Notepad so I can just do some typing, show you guys how that works. We gotta wait, it's so slow. Okay. Well, actually, I can just type here, right? Notepad. Oh, is it searching? Okay. You find it? Run it. What is this preview box thing? Okay. Hello. I am. Oops. Typing on the OQO Model then 2. Oops. Yeah. Numpad comes in handy for the numbers, so I don't have to use Alt Shift or anything like that. But yeah, typing is, I would say, for a computer of this size back then is reasonable. Like, there's other UMPCs, like I said, VAIO UX, or even the Samsung Q1 back then, that was pretty terrible to type on. So the Model 2 is actually reasonably decent for the keyboard. That's really about the only thing that's kind of decent on it. I also can't get this thing to work. It seems like it's it should be touch sensitive, right? But yeah, the screen is not touch sensitive. This thing should be touch sensitive, but it's not. This also seems like it could be a webcam or something, isn't it? But it doesn't actually advertise itself as having any webcam, but it looks like it could be with that little cutout hole. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think since I can't connect to the internet, because this thing is really old, right? It's not going to be able. I don't even know why this one was installed with Chrome. There's no way Chrome can even run on this thing. 512 megabytes of RAM. Yeah, Chrome's going to eat that up just trying to start up. So, yeah, no way this thing can connect to the internet. What I think the best thing I can do with this device at this point is try to play like an old movie. So, I know it's not going to play any MKV files. So, I'm just going to play like an AVI file. And in fact, it wouldn't play most of the AVI files I have because it doesn't have the codecs. So, what I had to do is I had to install the K-Lite Mega Codec pack, if you guys remember from back in the day. You need codecs to play these AVI files. Yeah, like the XVID and DivX codecs and stuff. And then we can try to play like an AVI file in Windows Media Player, okay? So let's do it. I installed all the codecs. Let's play the movie. This is an old AVI file, movie, DVD resolution. It's called What's Up Tiger Lily. It's actually Woody Allen's first directorial movie. You guys hear that? No, you probably can't, right? It's extremely, the speaker is extremely tinny. So I'm really going to put the volume up to full here. And let's see if we can, let's stop this and let's see if we can increase, okay, yeah, I get it. Let's see if we can increase the volume even, is there volume adjustment here? Yeah, volume. Open volume control. Okay, and we're going to move that up to the max. Alright, then we move this volume to max. This is the maximum it can go. So you can do full screen. Okay. I can barely hear the movie over the sound of this hard drive spinning. This is playing off of a USB drive right now. And of course the screen's not IPS, so I have to like angle it in the right way for you guys to even see it. It's a TFT screen, so. Yeah, you gotta be facing it really direct on to even see it. This is the absolute loudest it can go. And it can barely be heard over the sound of the hard drive. My god. Okay, I'm gonna try something else. I have, what AVI things I have? Oh, Mr. Bean. Let's try Mr. Bean. This one's an Xvid. Classic Mr. Bean, right? Okay, well at least it, like DVD resolution files will play without stuttering, which is nice. But you're not going to be able to play any HD files, so don't even try any HD files. DVD resolution files should be able to play fine. Okay. Oh yeah, this is pretty funny. Oh man, classic Mr. Bean. He starts laughing again. All right. Beast Wars. Oh, I got Beast Wars on here. One of my shows from my childhood. Oh. This one is a bit stuttering. Okay, let's try. What else do I got? Spider-Man, 1994 Spider-Man, also one of my favorite shows growing up. Fantastic Four. I can barely hear Spider-Man. What the heck? Doctor Doom. Okay, show more. Reboot? But what's actually this one? Oh, actually this is, I think this is Powerpuff Girls. Okay, whatever. Okay, at least this one is fairly loud, so I can kind of hear it. The Spider-Man was way too quiet. This one's actually fairly loud. Yeah. Yeah, anyways, it's the OQO Model 2, guys. As you guys can tell, can't do much with this device today. Probably just only play old movies and stuff. But even then, it's like the sound is way too tinny from the speakers, and the sound of the hard drive is actually overpowering the sound of the speakers. So yeah, you can even barely like hear the thing. Yeah, I can play some music or movies, but you can barely even hear it because of the whining of the hard drive. So more or less, the OQO Model 2 is just like a nice little historical piece now, just for collecting. It's not very usable today. I guess you can play some DOS games with it as well, but yeah, I mean, there's only a limited amount of stuff you can try to do with it. So anyways, yep, just going back and checking out this device again and doing like a retrospective on it, because it is a pretty cool device for the time. I mean, just having a computer that's this small, that runs Windows XP or possibly Vista, and can actually fit in your pocket. It is very pocketable, and that's just pretty cool for the time, I think. Is it the best UMPC at the time? No. I mean, the Sony Vaio UX, and in my opinion, the Vulcan Flipstart was both better than this thing. So there are other better options for UMPCs even at the time. But still, you know, as part of like a historical curiosity from a company that no longer exists, just unique form factor and a unique experiment, I guess, for the time. Yeah, just pretty much this thing is just for like UMPC enthusiasts and collectors now. So anyways, that's it, guys. The OQO Model 2, back in 2007, this was the smallest computer that can fit in your pocket. And really, I think it still kind of is, because what kind of modern computer is this small, right? I can think of only the GPD Micro PC in recent years, but really, even today, it's hard to find a computer that can run full Windows and be like this size, right? So it's just kind of a unique, interesting piece of computing history. So anyways, that's it, guys. Let me know what you think of the OQO Model 2. Actually, the other thing I can do is I can still use this DVD reader and burner. If I really need to read some DVDs or CDs for some reason, I could. Even though this thing can actually just barely run programs, it's really not powerful at all. Yeah, I really wish they could have used like if they even used a Pentium M processor like the Vulkan Flipstar or the Core Solo like the Sony Vaio UX, it would have been a lot faster. But using a VSD7M, yeah, it's pretty slow. It is, granted, it is faster than Transmeta Crusoe, but that's not really saying a lot. So yeah, even the Intel Atom is faster, and you guys remember how slow Atom was in the first netbooks. So anyways, guys, let me know your comments and opinions about the OQO Model 2. Right now, it's just kind of a computer that's kind of a historical curiosity, I guess, and good for collections. Alright, so I installed DOSBox because I'm trying to get DOS games working on this thing. Also, one other thing is that this keyboard is supposed to be backlit. I know it has backlit capability, but for some reason, I don't know why it doesn't activate. So I don't know under what conditions it does activate. Anyways, yeah, I got DOSBox mounted, and let's try to start up a DOS game. Let's see. Try that. Highway Hunter. Yeah, that's been a while since I played that one. What's the executables? Highway 123. Alright, let's see if that works. Oh, okay, start. Ooh, okay. Nice. Let's see how well this DOS game runs on here. Ooh. How well can I even play this game? Let's see. First level. I'm so, this is actually the very first game I ever played in my life when I was a young kid, so. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I played this when I was like 8 years old or something. Oh, I remember it was spacebar shoot. Yeah. Oh my god, okay. Not running the best, but okay. The music is really not working well for this. You're butchering the amazing OST of this game. Yeah, the terrible speakers is butchering the amazing OST of this game. Oh, okay, well, anyways, let's try a different game. I think it really butchers the music of that one. Highway Hunter has a great OST though. Okay, what's that? Is that not the dot? Here we go. Oops. Okay, what else we got? Oh yeah, I put Ken's Labyrinth on here. Let's see, Ken's Labyrinth. Ken. These are all freeware, abandonware games. Epic. Why don't you release your old games, Epic? Like, 3D Realms releases all their old games. Epic, it just abandons all their old titles. Anyways, this is a first-person shooter, so check it out. I had to go for the freeware first-person shooters. Okay, right. Oh. Been a while since I played this one. Wait, was it Alt? Was it Alt fire? Control. Was it Alt or Control? Oh, it was Control, okay. I remember this was one of the very first-person shooters that had interactable elements. Like this is like 3 years before Duke Nukem 3D had it. This game had vending machines like three years before Duke 3D. Just not as many people played this game. Okay. Okay, come on. Oh, God, the sound is totally messed up in this game. Come on. Key. Oh. Oh no. I activated something and it's going haywire now. What is it doing? Okay. Let's try final one. Zargon. Yeah, the platformer. Another epic platformer. Protecting my hardware. Shouldn't this be emulating Sound Blaster here, or what's going on here? Oh, this game might not be able to boot up. That's sad. Protecting your hardware if your system locks, reboot and type. Okay, so we're just gonna do Zargon SB /SB or /no SB. Okay, so let's restart that. Okay. Was it /SB, was it? Or maybe it doesn't have SB. Okay. It did detect it. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I knew I had Sound Blaster emulation here. But it's pretty bad again. Pretty bad. Oh, it's been a while since I played this game too. I'm not go inside this castle here. Or here. Nope. Where am I supposed to go? Oh, maybe I go down here. Okay, that's why. Oh, here we go. Oh, man. Remember, control jump. Ooh, okay. Oh, come on. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can barely even see this stuff. Alright. Anyways, yeah. The OQO can play DOS games, but is not really ideal. I mean, at least it's better than the VAIO UX when it comes to the control layout, but it's not great, especially the sound. The sound is really messed up. Because, like, the OQO speaker, it just sucks. Yeah, so I would say the DOS game experience is kind of ruined by the shit speaker in this thing. But at least the control layout of the keyboard is better for DOS than the VAIO UX, but that's about it. If you guys really want a first-gen UMPC to play DOS games, I would highly recommend the Vulkan Flip Start, but that one's another rare computer, I know. But yeah, out of the first-gen UMPC, is the best for DOS game playing. In terms of layout and also processing power, is probably the Vulkan Flip Start. But yeah, OQO Model 2 can play DOS games, just not really ideal for it.